Hi, I'm Taylor. In today's video, we're going to go over Ableton's drift instrument, more specifically in how the Move 1.7 update allows you to control all of the settings. If that sounds good, please like, please subscribe, and stick around. Okay, this is on the 1.7 update of the Move. It really piqued my interest, and it made me learn something about Ableton's drift instrument, or a lot of things about Ableton's drift instrument I didn't already know. Ableton's drift is a subtractive synth. A subtractive synth is a synth, I've said synth so many times already. Synth and synth. I can't even say it a few times fast. A subtractive synth is a synth where you have a waveform and the way you morph it or the way you sound design it into what you want is by filters and filtering it. So you're subtracting frequencies. I would not qualify myself as a drift expert, but I've been creating music for a very long time and I've been doing sound design for a very long time. So once I saw subtractive synthesis, I went, oh, this is awesome. I have the Ableton manual here. I am a visual person, so I prefer to be able to see what the user interface looks like versus reading the words on the Move. Once you understand what the interface looks like, reading the words is totally fine. But I was a little bit confused when I first opened it because I was like, I don't remember exactly the signal flow and what I'm working with drift. So I needed to see it and read the manual a little bit more to understand what I was actually changing. Because a lot of sound design is just changing it and figuring it out as you go, but I just kind of liked the macros for that on Move. It's what made it special. But this will be fun. There's now a drift default that doesn't have anything mapped to macros. So to get to that, you go into your instrument picker and you have to scroll down to templates and then you go down to drift default. And now you have a blank drift preset. To get to the banks, you hold down Shift, and now you see a 1 that popped up. So now you turn for banks. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 10. Oh, sorry, there's 11. In bank 1, you have the general settings. They call this the main menu, which has oscillator waveform 1, shape 1 for oscillator 1, the gain for 1, oscillator 2 gain, low pass filter, low pass resonance, envelope 1, and release 1. Or sorry, envelope 1 attack, envelope 1 release. Now if you go to bank 2, this is specifically oscillators. So you have oscillator 1 waveform, 1 octave, 1 shape mod, and then it does the same thing for 2. Oh, sorry, mod source, waveform 2, oscillator 2 waveform. Bank 2 is all about oscillators. You have oscillator 1 waveform, octave, shape mod, and then the modulation source, oscillator 2 waveform, octave, and detune. So this is where I was already getting confused because I couldn't remember exactly how it all worked. So over here, we're working just in this section right now. So this first knob is here. The second knob is the octave, and then the shape mod would be, I'm assuming that's this off of the LFO. And then the mod source would be where it's sourced to, which we can pick how we source it. So like this, if I'm copying this setting, it would be LFO, and then I can go back to this and go to 50, and this is now looking the same. And then you go here to waveform 2, and that's this, and then you go octave to here, and then you go detune to here. So we're truly only looking at this in bank 2. Now if we go to bank 3, you get oscillator, mod, and gain, which we have pitch mod 1, which now is down here. So you have pitch mod 1, mod source, pitch mod 2 amount, mod source. So like these are mapped the exact same currently as what you're picturing. Then phase reset, which is that button. And then the oscillator gain for 1, gain for 2, and then the noise gain, which is here. So now we're seeing this entire section, this entire dark section. Now if we go down to filters, we've now moved into just this section that's labeled filter. So now you have the low pass filter, which is this one. You have the resonance, which is this knob. Then you have the type, which we're currently on 1. And then you have the high pass filter, which is here. And then you have whether the filter is on oscillator 1, which is that button. On oscillator 2, that button. On noise, which is that button. It is not these buttons, it is the arrows. The on and off is these arrows, which go to the filter. And now bank 5 is filter modulation, which is this little section here. And you'll see there's 5 options. So we have key for low pass, which is actually this, which is the amount of low pitch turns the low pass down, high pitch turns the low pass up. Then you have low pass mod, which would be in here. And then mod 1 source. Or what do we have? Low pass mod. Yeah. And then you have mod 1 source, low pass mod 2, amount, and then mod source. And that's it for those. And then now we go into envelope 1. And this envelope 1 is clearly labeled as the top one. So then you have attack, decay, sustain, release. Very straightforward, which is this top section. And then you have envelope 2, attack, decay, sustain, release, and the envelope mode. Now this is where it's more interesting because you can do it on a cycling, which basically turns it into an LFO. That is what this button does. These buttons take you to envelope 1 or envelope 2. Most importantly, this is the view when you are in the cycling section. So when you're in the cycling section, you have tilt, hold, rate, and then you have the option for what type of rate. So if we go back here, so now we have cycling tilt, because I changed it to cycling at the end. If I go back to envelope, it's A, D, S, R. If I go to the cycling mode, now it's tilt, hold, rate, and then the cycling mode, which are these. So there's frequency, time, ratio, sync. 8 is the LFO. So we got what type of wave we're working with. We've got the LFO amount, the LFO rate, the rate mode, whether it re-triggers, that's what the R's are for, the modulation amount, and the modulation source. Modulation's 1 and 2, so it's going to be mod source, mod target, mod amount, which is the same, and it's going to do it again. And then we go to the next bank, and it's going to do it again. And then there's velocity on this last one. But then there should be another bank of global. Global has what mode you're in, whether the voice mode, how many voices, how much drift, legato, glide time, transposition, and your volume. So where drift is as simple or as complex of a sound generator as you want it to be is truly in the drift amount. Per the manual, it says, the drift slider adds slight variation to each voice, affecting different aspects of the voice's sound, such as pitch and filter cutoff. Every voice in drift has a different randomization for the oscillators and filter frequency. Adjusting the drift control increases or decreases this unique randomization. At higher amounts, the gaps between the oscillators and the filter widens, making the sound more out of tune. So generally it's like a detune, but random. This feels very akin to mutable instruments. Let's make some sounds. So I'm gonna go back so that we can just look at the bass drift view so that we just have this baby on screen so that we know what we're working with. So let's make, I don't want to make something that's like super repetitive and annoying, but I want to be able to show what we're doing. So I'm gonna go to the oscillators, and I'm actually going to turn, see, this is also where this gets to be fine but complicated, like oscillator mod and gain, noise gain 2. So we're gonna have just one oscillator for a minute, and I wanna go back actually to the global, and I want to turn off where glide drift. I want no drift, I want just basic synthesis. So let's walk through some of the waves. So we have okay, so there's like an LFO doing something. So now we need to go, or it might just be the shape mod. Okay, I can't get it to 0 if I hold shift, will we? There we go. Great. So now we have an oscillator. Great. That's a sine wave, pretty normal sine wave. Next we got triangle, which is just a slightly tiny bit of distorted, adds harmonics to the sine wave, makes it a little bit sharper, hence triangle. And then next I think is saw, shark tooth. Shark tooth is like a saw based off of Moog's shark tooth wave. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but it sounds kind of like a saw. Then we have saturated. Their description is it works well with bass. Sounds a little like chiptune meets. It actually sounds kind of like a sine or a triangle wave mixed with like a shortened square wave. Can't remember what that's actually called right now, but that's kind of what I'm hearing. Then we have a regular saw. And then we have pulse. Oh, it might actually be a pulse that I was thinking for saturated. And then rectangle. So if we just want to make a relatively like generic sound, right? Let's go with shark tooth because it's kind of fun. I like Moog. So now let's go back to, I need to add the volume back on oscillator 2. So let's add it to like -11 or 10. I added it to 11. And then now that we have it, where'd we go? Oscillator mod source. I don't actually care right now. I want a triangle and octave down 1. So now this sound is going to have the main sound as the main octave, and then an octave below is going to be a little bassier. So now we're getting in the realm of like bigger sound. Now I think that we've lost a little bit of texture, so I would like to go back to the gain and lower this a little bit, or lower oscillator 2 a little bit, raise oscillator 1 a little bit, and see if we get more back. So we've lost clarity, so I might need to actually do like a sine wave because it sounds like there's phasing. Yeah, actually it sounds okay. And then if we want to make it even wider, we can detune it, detune oscillator 2. Yeah, that just gets weird. Let's see if I can get it back to 0. Come on. There we go. Okay, so I'm okay with this. Now if we go to mods, I don't really want any modification yet. Phase reset could be cool. What phase reset is doing is it's resetting the waveforms every time you play a note. So you'll always get the same note and it won't drift away and morph as you're playing. For this, let's just leave it on. And then let's add some noise to give it a little bit more brightness. And then here's no noise. To like -30. It's kind of fun. It'll be a little bit bitey, I guess. And then we have a low pass filter, which low pass filter lets low frequencies pass. That's why it's called a low pass filter. It cuts the high frequencies. So this is being modulated. I'm just going to have the filter on everything for now. Okay, so filter modulation. So now, if I go all the way up, this should mean that the filter goes up as I go up the keys. Otherwise, if I turn this off, it'll be the same no matter where I'm at. See how you lose some of the high end? So this is very fun, so you can make your sounds show up when you go higher versus lower. Then you have low pass mod, so we can turn that to 0, which means I now have to go back to the filter and turn it up. But so if we were to have this sound, let's go back to the modulation. I'm going to leave the key on like half. And then, okay, it's on envelope 2, which is the cycle. But then I guess I turned the filter down too much. Feels like I broke it. I think that's okay. Filter modulation, envelope 1. Now, envelope 1 is going to control the amp. It's basically the amp envelope. So it's your ADSR, your attack, decay, sustain, release. So longer it is, longer the attack. Shorter it is, shorter the attack. Okay. And then, so attack is the initial length of time it takes for the sound to get to its peak. Decay is how quickly it goes to where it's going to hold the level, which in this case, because it's amp, it's the volume. So right now it's set to 60%. So it's going to attack all the way up and then decay down to 60% volume, and then the release is set to 791 milliseconds, so 2/3 of a second, I guess 3/4 of a second, and then let go of the sound. And that's how long it stays there. Envelope 2 is currently cycling, and it's at a rate of 5 hertz. I think that's 5. How do we go up? I gotta turn. It's frequency. I think that's 5K. I need to turn the filter back up because it's too. Where do we go? This one? No. Low pass mod. Oh, this is why. Okay, this makes more sense why it wasn't doing anything. Okay, so then now if I go back to frequency, that's at 5,000 hertz, 5,400 hertz. Crazy. Oh, so it is at 5 hertz? Oh, that makes sense. Sorry. It's actually correct. Or it's saying how quickly the hertz are. Or time. This time could actually be very fun, and you can sync it to like the decay time or something, so it would have this interesting phase to itself. And then there's ratio. Oh, that's fast. Okay. Or sync. I usually like to stick with frequency. I think that's kind of fun. Now LFO, I'm not exactly sure what I would want to do with an LFO, but a sine wave is cool. LFO stands for low frequency oscillator, which is a modulation source. Low frequency is typically referring to not audible. Where it's been used most for me in music is modular synthesis. That's one of LFOs are like the main source of modulation in modular stuff. So where is this? So this is set to a mod wheel. There's not a mod wheel on here. So interesting some of the things that are here, because like how would I use a mod wheel on my move? I would have to have an external instrument that has a mod wheel that I could control it with, I think. Anyway, so we could do it by velocity. That could be cool. Let's just do it by key. So we have sine wave, 100% LFO. The rate is kind of slow. That's fine. Retrigger would restart it every time you press a key. I'm going to let it just fall away. LFO modulation would return this 100. I don't think it's on anything. Okay, so now that it's set to key, let's go to mod 1 and go key set to LFO rate, I guess. See, this is where I need more visual to understand what the LFO is actually modulating. Because if I go... Source 2 is velocity. And it doesn't have a target. Mod 1 target is low pass resonance. But if I have none... Okay, wait, so those don't matter. So then where's the LFO going? So if I go back to the LFO, the mod source is the key. That's weird though. It would make sense if the LFO was modding this. What if we LFO them out and go fast? No. The amount is set to 100, and I have the mod no retrigger, modulation's 100, mod source is key. What if I do? But let me just turn this modulation off. That's very peculiar. So what is it modding then? Let's read the manual. Let's see what the manual says about the LFO. The LFO is here. So, okay, so we can set it in different time modes. Gotcha. That's great. Oh, so I have to set a modulation for it because the mod is tied to the LFO. That would make a lot of sense. Can I set the LFO? Let's try something like this. So let's set the slide pressure mod wheel velocity. Okay, so then this is a lot of time spent on not understanding where this is going. Maybe I have to go beyond this. 1 and 2. Mod target. No, the target's not what I would want. Source would be... Maybe this is what I have to do. Go to LFO, and then the target would be... Let's change oscillator 1 shape and see if we get something. Now we got change. Cool. So now if we're changing that, that is what I got stuck on. Okay, so let's go back so that we can see the whole instrument again here. Great. So now if we go back to mod and it's 100%, but it's this, if we go... Okay, so that's weird. That's cool. Be kind of fun to wander. Then if I go back to mod, go to 100, oscillator 1 shape. See, okay, so this could be really cool to actually do envelope 1, so the shape will change with envelope 1. Maybe we do... Oh no, sorry, mod target. Where'd target go? We would want... Yeah, shape 1, envelope 1. That's not doing as much as I was wanting it to. It's 100%. So if we go back to envelope 1, oscillator noise gain, could be fun. It's not doing very much. Oh. Let's go back to noise gate. Weird that the key isn't doing as much. I wonder if there's too much filter on it. Wait, I wanted. I'd feel like there would be more happening with this mod here. That feels like it's actually doing more. Let's try. Maybe. It's so subtle. That one might be doing something. Maybe we go reverse. That's not going to be helpful. Okay, so we go 0. Now 100. Oh, that's doing something. Here, you can hear the octave below, which is here. But when I turn the key amount all the way up, you lose the low octave, which cleans it up. But you gain it back at the bottom. That's kind of cool. Let's leave it there. Took long enough. And then what do we have at the end is global. What do we got when we drift it? Not very much. Okay, now if we turn it back off. Okay, now all the way back up. Okay, so it's just kind of detuning. Oh. Oh, we'd have to do... Oh, nah, I'm not even going to worry about this then. Transpose would be dangerous. It's good to have, though. That's fun. That's really fun. I think this is really cool. I think this is really powerful to give you full subtractive synthesis sound design on the move. That's great because it's been kind of presets and you can really get to whatever you want, but it's been much more like amateur level sound design. Now I feel like with this, you can get pretty pro level sound design and make truly anything that you want. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions about sound design or drift or move, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for being here.